Listening to Your Intuition, inspired by Edgar Cayce, written and published by Audible Aria. In one of his talks, Edgar Cayce mentioned that the divine is a part of ourselves, and we should listen to our inner voice instead of being swayed by external temptations. He also emphasized that our bodies are sacred spaces where we can connect with God and experience spiritual growth. Cayce believed that focusing on our inner intuition is a safer and more spiritually fulfilling path compared to relying on external influences. He suggested that through intuition, we can unite with truth and creative energy and find answers in various ways. Cayce's teachings suggest that intuition plays a significant role in understanding others, as it allows us to perceive things about them instantly. So, have you ever experienced a situation where you felt like you just knew something about a person as soon as you met them? Sometimes you meet people you immediately feel comfortable with, and others you don't. Have you ever had someone ask you to trust them, but deep down you just didn't feel right about it? And did you end up regretting trusting them later? There are times when we have strange feelings about things, like when you're looking at a used car you really like, but something inside you says, "Don't buy it, something's not right." Have you ever ignored that feeling and wished you hadn't later on? These feelings are like hunches. They're hard to explain, but they're there. I bet everyone has had a hunch at some point, and almost everyone has a story about ignoring one that ended up badly. Even though hunches might not always seem to make sense, they're often spot on. Have you ever had a feeling about something or someone that you couldn't really explain? Like a little voice inside you saying, "This feels right," or "This doesn't seem quite okay"? Well, that's what we call intuition. Intuition is like a special kind of knowledge that comes from deep inside us. It's not something we learn from books or lessons. Instead, it's a feeling that just seems to pop up without any logical explanation. Oddly enough, our intuition tends to be really accurate, especially when it comes to people we don't know very well. It's like our inner radar, helping us make sense of situations and people, even when we don't have all the facts. Think about it like this. Have you ever met someone for the first time and had a feeling about whether you could trust them or not? Maybe you couldn't put your finger on why you felt that way, but later on you found out your intuition was spot on. Scientists have studied intuition and found that it's actually a combination of our past experiences, emotions, and instincts all working together. So when we get that gut feeling, it's like our brain processing all this information super quickly and giving us a signal. Learning to trust our intuition can be really helpful in making decisions, especially when we don't have all the information we need. It's like having a secret superpower that guides us in the right direction. Intuition is like having a special kind of knowledge that doesn't rely on our eyes, ears, or thinking it through. It's like the answer comes straight from somewhere deep within us, almost like magic. Even if we can't exactly explain why we feel a certain way, we just know it's true. It's like having a sixth sense that helps us understand things without needing all the facts. Imagine you're trying to decide between two choices, and suddenly you just know which one feels right. That's your intuition at work. It's like a whisper from your inner self guiding you in the right direction. Sometimes, intuition can feel like a gut feeling, a hunch, or a little voice inside your head. It's like your subconscious mind trying to tell you something important. Even though intuition might seem mysterious, it's actually a natural part of how our brains work. It's like our brain's way of processing information and helping us make decisions based on our past experiences and emotions. Learning to trust our intuition can be really helpful in navigating life's choices. Whether it's choosing a friend, making a decision, or even solving a problem, our intuition can be a valuable guide. Intuition is a word we use a lot, but it's actually quite mysterious. It's something that has puzzled smart people for a long time. It suggests that there's a reality that's somehow different or hidden from what we can see or understand with our senses or logic. Have you ever wondered how you just know things even when you don't have a clear reason to know them? Maybe your intuition can help you understand what Edgar Cayce believed. He thought that humans are naturally like channels, kind of like a TV channel that brings information to your screen. When we talk about channeling, it might seem strange or hard to understand using just your logical thinking. Even if I explain things really clearly, there will still be parts that your logical mind can't quite grasp. That's where your intuition comes in. It helps you understand things that reason alone can't. Imagine intuition as a special pipeline for guidance. It's like there's this invisible stream of knowledge flowing through you from somewhere mysterious. You can't see it or explain it, but you can feel its presence. Sometimes, intuition shows up as a feeling in your gut, like a gentle nudge urging you in a certain direction. Other times, it's like a deep sensation in your bones, telling you to pay attention. Intuition doesn't shout or give clear instructions. Instead, it whispers, offering hints or ideas about what you should do or avoid. It's like having a secret helper nudging you in the right direction. Think of intuition as your natural GPS, guiding you through life's twists and turns. It's there to help you make decisions, big or small, by tapping into your inner wisdom. I also rely on my intuition a lot in my work. There are days when I feel this strong urge to talk to someone about a business deal, but at the same time, I'll have this nagging feeling that it's not the right time. If I ignore that feeling and go ahead anyway, things tend to go wrong. But then, on another day, I'll suddenly feel like it's the perfect moment to take action. And surprisingly, things work out just fine. Now let's talk about the psychic side of intuition. Edgar Cayce called intuition the best kind of psychic ability. He gave it this big compliment because intuition isn't just about randomly knowing weird stuff. Intuitive info isn't like idle gossip. It's always something that's important for you right at that moment. But intuition is more than just being psychic. It's like your brain making a smart decision and telling you what to do. It looks at info it gets from psychic sources, then compares it with what you want and need, and finally figures out the best thing for you to do. It's like having a loyal guide dog who can sniff out trouble, find what you're looking for, or warn you about danger. There's a fascinating study that shows how intuition might play a role in keeping travelers safe. This guy named Wecox looked into train accidents and found something really interesting. He compared the number of people on trains on the day of an accident with the number of passengers on other days. And guess what? Sometimes there were big differences. Let me give you an example. There was this train called the Georgian that had a crash on June 15th, 1952. But here's the weird part. The day before it had 68 passengers, and the day before that it had 60. All week long, except for the day of the accident, it carried about 60 passengers each day. And get this, the day of the accident wasn't usually a day with fewer passengers. In fact, on the same day of the week for the 4 weeks before the accident, there were 35, 55, 53, and 54 passengers. So, what does all this mean? Well, Cox thought that maybe there's something like a subconscious warning that people have before accidents. He called it subliminal premonition. It's like our intuition is quietly guiding us to stay safe, even if we're not aware of it. This study suggests that intuition might be working behind the scenes to protect us, without us even realizing it. Maybe you've heard a story like this before. There are lots of similar tales where people have postponed or cancelled trips because they had a bad feeling, even though there didn't seem to be any other reason. It's like their intuition was warning them about something, but they couldn't see why until later when the danger became clear. These kinds of incidents really do happen, showing us just how powerful intuition can be. Intuition works like a hidden guide, nudging us in the right direction without us even realizing it. Even if we can't really explain or understand intuition, we can still appreciate its role in our lives. It's like having an invisible helper that leads us on the right path. Cayce believed that intuition serves a greater purpose in our lives. It helps us discover something even more important. According to him, all the knowledge we need is already inside us. Cayce saw intuition as more than just a guide. It's also a source of inspiration. He valued it because it aligns with our values and leads us to look deeper within ourselves. For him, intuition isn't just knowing things. It's about connecting with our inner wisdom. To understand intuition, Casey taught us to turn our focus inward, to explore our inner selves, and to trust the information that comes from within. He believed that recognizing that all knowledge resides within us and learning to listen to our inner voice are the foundations of his teachings. Understanding and honing our intuition can lead us to some important life lessons. Maybe you already have a natural sense of what makes intuition work. I first came across a profound understanding of intuition while reading a book called Zen in the Art of Archery by Eugene Herrigel. Herrigel, a philosopher from Germany, went to Japan to learn about Zen. At first, the Zen masters weren't interested in teaching him because they thought he was only curious intellectually. But Herrigel persisted, showing his genuine interest. Eventually, he earned the chance to learn from Master Kenzo AWA, a respected archer. For 4 years, Herrigel dedicated himself to mastering the art of drawing and releasing the Japanese bow, which was both physically demanding and required a graceful, almost dance-like motion. He learned that Zen archery wasn't just about hitting a target, it was about finding inner peace and harmony. During his training, Herrigel didn't shoot at a physical target. Instead, he aimed for a state of mind, a mental focus that transcended the physical act of shooting. This discipline was a form of meditation, teaching him to quiet his mind and let his actions flow naturally. After years of practice, Herrigel witnessed his master's remarkable skill. In darkness, the master effortlessly hit a target, showing that true mastery transcended the need for sight. The master explained that hitting the target wasn't about aiming with the eyes, but about becoming one with the target, letting the arrow find its home naturally. Herrigel realized that the true essence of Zen archery wasn't about skill or technique. It was about surrendering to the process, becoming a vessel for the art itself. Through discipline and practice, the archer learns to let go and allow the spirit of Zen to guide their actions. Similar to the Zen archer, Edgar Cayce knew how to find the answers he needed by looking within himself. He showed us that, like the Zen master who taught Herrigel, we can also find guidance by turning inward. Just as Herrigel learned from the Zen master to avoid relying on tricks, Cayce teaches us to trust our inner wisdom instead of seeking external validation. While the Zen archer drew inspiration from Buddhist teachings, Cayce's guidance is rooted in biblical concepts. He often referred to Jesus' teaching that the kingdom of God is within us, suggesting that everything we seek can be found within ourselves. Cayce advised us to prioritize seeking this inner kingdom first, trusting that everything else we need will naturally follow. When it comes to intuition, Cayce approached it not as a skill to be mastered, like the Zen archer perfecting his aim, but as a pathway to truth. He cautioned against using intuition for personal gain or to show off psychic abilities. Instead, he urged us to follow intuition because it leads us closer to our true selves and to God. Cayce's perspective on intuition also sheds light on how it works and why it's possible. Unlike the conscious mind, which relies on senses and external knowledge, intuition operates on the belief that everything is interconnected. While science has traditionally focused on analyzing the world through separate atoms and logical reasoning, it's now beginning to embrace a more holistic worldview that aligns with mysticism. If you check out the New Age section of your local bookstore, you'll find books that explore how modern scientific concepts are converging with mystical beliefs. These books, like Sympathetic Vibrations and The Tao of Physics, illustrate how science is starting to recognize the interconnectedness of all things, echoing Cayce's teachings about intuition and unity. When scientists started looking at atoms really closely, they found something surprising. They seemed to disappear. Instead of being solid things, atoms looked more like bursts of energy. We usually think of atoms as objects, but they're actually more like events or happenings. Even weirder, it seems like these atom events can somehow instantly connect with each other, like there's no time or space between them. And this strange connection also applies to the mind that's observing them. It's like the energy of atoms reacts to the thoughts and awareness of the person looking at them. So the big idea here is that the mind and matter are not separate, but they're like two peas in a pod. They are part of one big thing, like two sides of the same coin, always together and impossible to pull apart. What happens in the mind affects matter, and what happens in matter affects the mind. It's like a dance where they move together, each influencing the other in a constant flow of connection. This idea might sound a bit out there, but scientists and thinkers have been exploring it for a long time. They believe that everything in the universe is interconnected, from the smallest atom to the biggest star. Think about it like this. When you're feeling happy, your body might feel lighter. And when you're feeling stressed, your body might feel tense. That's the mind and matter working together, showing how closely linked they are. Have you ever paused to consider the idea that everything around us, including our thoughts and the material world, might be connected in a profound way? This concept, often referred to as oneness, suggests that there is a fundamental unity underlying all existence. Both ancient wisdom, like that of Edgar Cayce, and modern scientific thought are beginning to explore and acknowledge this interconnectedness. According to Edgar Cayce, a renowned mystic and psychic, as well as emerging scientific theories, there exists a unified field of energy that permeates everything in the universe. This energy is not fragmented or separate, but rather interconnected, forming a seamless web of existence. Cayce referred to this interconnectedness as oneness, emphasizing the idea that all aspects of reality are intertwined and inseparable. Modern science is also delving into the concept of oneness through disciplines such as quantum physics and neuroscience. Quantum physics reveals that at the most fundamental level of reality, particles and energy exhibit wave-like properties and can exist in multiple states simultaneously. This suggests a deep interconnectedness between seemingly separate entities. Moreover, neuroscience is uncovering the intricate relationship between the mind and the physical world, demonstrating how our thoughts and perceptions shape our reality. The implications of oneness are profound. It suggests that our individual experiences and actions have ripple effects that extend far beyond ourselves, influencing the interconnected web of existence. When we recognize and embrace this interconnectedness, we cultivate a greater sense of empathy, compassion, and responsibility towards all beings in the environment. This oneness means that there's a single spirit or energy that ties everything in existence together. It's like a thread that runs through all of creation, connecting every atom in the universe. This energy doesn't just exist out there somewhere, it's within each of us, linking us to each other and to everything else in the world. Even though we might seem like separate individuals, we're all connected as part of this bigger picture. What affects one of us has an impact on everyone else. It's like there's a shared connection among all living things, creating a unified web of life. According to Edgar Cayce, each human soul is a part of God's own essence. It's like God created us as little pieces of Himself, just like how our thoughts and images come from our own minds. Even though each person has their own unique identity, we're all connected by the same spirit. And not only that, but each soul reflects the entire universe within itself. It's like we're all miniature versions of the big universe, with all its wonders inside us. Cayce compared the soul to a tiny drop of water from the vast ocean. Even though it's small, that drop contains everything that's in the ocean. Similarly, each person holds within them the knowledge and essence of the entire creation. This idea of each person being a mini-universe isn't just something Cayce came up with. It's an ancient mystical belief that's been around for a long time. And now, even modern science is starting to catch on to this idea of unity. Scientists talk about creation being holonomic, which means that everything is interconnected like a hologram. It's a way of thinking about how everything in life is connected. With the advancement of technology like laser holography, These ideas about unity are becoming even more fascinating and relevant. Even though it might be hard to fully understand or believe, the concept of unity is very real and important. It's like we're all pieces of a bigger puzzle, each one vital and connected to the whole. Imagine aiming a laser beam at a special plate called a holographic plate. When the beam hits the plate, it creates a 3D picture that floats in space. You can walk around this picture and see it from all angles. It looks solid and real, even though it's just made of light. Now here's where it gets really interesting. If you were to break that holographic plate into tiny pieces, even the tiniest fragment would still show the entire 3D picture when hit with a laser beam. It's like every little piece contains the whole picture in some mysterious way. Now, think about the soul according to Edgar Cayce. He compared it to a piece of this complete holograph which we call creation or God. Each soul carries within it the knowledge of the entire universe. That's why Cayce believed that being psychic, having intuitive abilities, is a natural part of the soul. Intuition taps into this universal knowledge that's available to every soul, what he called the superconscious mind. Have you ever wondered about the true nature of your mind and soul? Perhaps there's more to our inner selves than what meets the eye. If we take a moment to ponder this idea, it opens up a fascinating perspective, that our minds are incredibly intricate and profound, reaching depths far beyond our conscious awareness. Think of it like this. Imagine your mind as an iceberg, with only a small portion visible above the surface, representing your conscious thoughts and experiences. But beneath the surface lies a vast hidden realm, the realm of the subconscious and the soul. This hidden part of our minds holds a wealth of knowledge, emotions, and connections that we may not be fully aware of in our day-to-day lives. When we consider the soul in this light, it suggests that there's a whole other level of understanding and connection waiting to be explored. It's like unlocking a door to a deeper dimension of ourselves, one where profound insights and connections reside. This deeper understanding of the soul invites us to tap into this hidden reservoir of wisdom and insight. Through practices like meditation, introspection, and mindfulness, we can begin to delve into the depths of our minds, uncovering hidden truths and connections that can enrich our lives in profound ways. Moreover, this perspective encourages us to recognize the interconnectedness of all beings in the universe. Just as our own minds hold hidden depths, so too does the world around us. By acknowledging and exploring this interconnectedness, we can cultivate a deeper sense of empathy, compassion, and unity with all of existence. In Edgar Cayce's view of the mind, there are two main parts, the conscious mind and the superconscious mind. He imagined the conscious mind as being like a mouse. It's really good at paying attention to small details, but it doesn't have a big picture view like an eagle does. But don't worry, because there's another part of the mind that's more like the eagle. It's called the superconscious mind. Cayce once had a dream where he saw the mind as a funnel. The big end of the funnel reached down from infinity and formed a smaller mind at the bottom. This smaller mind represents the conscious mind, which we use to focus on the physical world around us. In another vision, he saw the mind as a star with many points, each point being a funnel connected to the universal mind and reaching down to become part of a person's conscious mind. Cayce's ideas about the mind might seem surprising, but they offer a unique way of understanding how our minds work and how we connect to the world around us. Let's break down Edgar Cayce's ideas about the mind into simpler terms. First, Cayce believed that there's only one mind, a big shared mind that we all have in common. It's kind of like the air we breathe. Even though we have our own lungs, we're all connected to the same air. In modern terms, we might call this the transpersonal mind, meaning it's not just personal to you or me, but it's something we all share. Second, Cayce thought that this big mind remembers everything. He called this the Akashic Record or the Hall of Records. It's like a giant library where every experience that humanity has ever had is stored. Third, Cayce talked about the subconscious mind, which is like a middle ground between the big universal mind and our individual conscious minds. Each of us has our own part of the subconscious, but there are no clear boundaries between them. That means that everyone's subconscious mind, whether they're alive or dead, is connected to each other. And finally, Casey pointed out that even though the conscious mind is important for dealing with the physical world, it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the whole mind. It's really focused on the here and now, paying attention to what's happening in the physical world around us. Now let's delve into Edgar Cayce's ideas about the different levels of the mind and how they work together. First off, Cayce talked about the conscious mind. Imagine your conscious mind as a fortress, strong and defined, with clear boundaries. It's like a protective barrier that separates us from the outside world. This part of our mind is what makes us feel distinct and separate from others. It's where our attention is focused on what's happening in the present moment, right in front of us. Think about it this way. When you're fully engaged in a task or conversation, it's your conscious mind that's at work. It's the part of your mind that's aware of your surroundings and the thoughts running through your head. It helps you make decisions, solve problems, and navigate the world around you. But while our conscious mind is essential for everyday functioning, it also has its limitations. Because it's so focused on the here and now, it can sometimes prevent us from seeing the bigger picture or understanding the deeper connections between things. For example, when we're caught up in our own thoughts and concerns, we may fail to notice the feelings or needs of others around us. This is because our conscious mind creates a sense of separation, making it difficult for us to empathize with others or see beyond our own perspective. However, Cayce also suggested that beyond our conscious mind lies a deeper level of awareness, a realm of the subconscious and unconscious mind. In this deeper part of our minds, boundaries become more fluid, and we may experience a sense of interconnectedness with others and the world around us. By understanding the workings of our conscious mind, we can begin to explore these deeper levels of awareness and tap into the vast reservoir of wisdom and insight that lies within us. It's an invitation to expand our understanding of ourselves and our place in the world, moving beyond the confines of our conscious thoughts and perceptions. Then there's the subconscious mind. Picture your subconscious mind like a radio, quietly picking up signals from the world around you. It's not something you're always aware of, but it's constantly tuning in to different frequencies of thoughts and experiences, much like a radio picking up different stations. Cayce believed that our subconscious mind acts as a channel for telepathic information, a way for us to pick up on the thoughts and feelings of others without them having to say anything out loud. It's like having a secret antenna inside us, allowing us to tune into the thoughts and experiences of people around us. Think of it this way. Have you ever had a gut feeling about something, or suddenly thought of a friend only to receive a call from them moments later? These experiences might be examples of your subconscious mind at work, picking up on subtle signals and connections that lie beneath the surface of our conscious awareness. But why does this matter? Understanding the power of our subconscious mind can help us deepen our connections with others and navigate the world with greater insight and understanding. By learning to tune into this hidden channel of information, we can become more attuned to the thoughts and feelings of those around us, fostering empathy, understanding, and connection. Finally, there's the superconscious mind. Think of your superconscious mind as a special connection to a vast library of universal knowledge. It's like having a direct line to the big picture, where all life is interconnected and everything makes sense. This part of our mind taps into a deeper understanding that goes beyond our individual experiences and perceptions. Cayce believed that intuition is the superchannel through which we gather information from this universal source. It's like a powerful antenna that picks up signals from different sources, allowing us to access insights and wisdom that transcend our everyday awareness. Sometimes our intuition communicates with us through our imagination, showing us visions and symbols that hold deeper meaning. Other times it speaks to us through feelings or inner thoughts, guiding us towards the right path or helping us make sense of complex situations. Imagine you're facing a tough decision and you just can't figure out what to do. Suddenly, You get a gut feeling that points you in the right direction. That's your superconscious mind at work, guiding you towards the answer that lies beyond your conscious understanding. Understanding the power of our superconscious mind can help us tap into a deeper level of wisdom and insight, guiding us towards greater clarity, purpose, and fulfillment in life. By learning to trust our intuition and listen to the whispers of our inner voice, we can navigate the complexities of life with confidence and grace. By understanding these different levels of the mind, Casey helps us make sense of phenomena like channeling, where people claim to receive messages or insights from beyond. It's a fascinating but sometimes confusing area to explore, and Casey's ideas provide a framework for understanding it better. Let's explore Edgar Casey's advice on how to develop our intuition. Casey suggests that for many of us, intuitive moments happen unexpectedly. They just come out of the blue. However, he encourages us to actively work on strengthening our intuitive abilities. To do this, he offers some important principles to keep in mind. 1. Casey teaches that intuition stems from our deep connection to the world around us. When we feel in tune with life, our intuition becomes stronger. It's like we're tapping into a universal flow of knowledge and understanding. 2. He also emphasizes the role of empathy in intuition. When we're able to empathize with others, we become more attuned to their feelings and experiences. Love, according to Casey, is the ultimate form of attunement. It's like a powerful force that enhances our intuitive abilities. 3. Casey notes that a strong desire to know something, especially for protection or guidance, can trigger our intuition. Intuitive insights often come from within ourselves, so it's important to trust our inner wisdom and look inward for guidance. 4. He highlights the importance of accepting and acting on our intuitive insights. Our first thoughts, feelings, or images are often the most genuine, especially when they align with our core values and beliefs. Casey encourages us to honor our intuition by taking action based on these insights. 5. Casey's approach to developing intuition follows a sequence: recognizing a need, attuning ourselves to the situation, and then applying the insights we receive. It's like we're channeling wisdom from above and grounding it into practical actions here on Earth. To nurture our intuition, Casey suggests spending time in nature. Nature has a way of connecting us to the larger web of life and elevating our consciousness. Many people have profound spiritual experiences in nature, feeling a deep sense of oneness and connection to all living beings. Now, let's delve into a story that highlights the power of intuition through a simple yet profound encounter with nature. There was once a young woman who found herself in the depths of despair, overwhelmed by feelings of sadness and hopelessness. Driving aimlessly, she eventually pulled over at a quiet picnic site to catch her breath and rest her weary soul. As she stepped out of her car, a vibrant blue jay swooped down before her, its piercing calls demanding her attention. Intrigued, the woman followed the bird as it hopped along, leading her deeper into the surrounding woods. After a while, they reached a serene clearing that offered a breathtaking view of Mount Hood, its majestic snow-capped peak towering in the distance. The sight filled the woman with a sense of awe and solace, as if nature itself was reaching out to comfort her troubled heart. Overwhelmed with emotion, tears streamed down her cheeks as she released the pent-up sorrow that had weighed her down for so long. And as if in response to her cathartic release, the blue jay called out once more, prompting her to follow it back to her car. As she drove away from that tranquil oasis, the woman felt transformed. The encounter with the blue jay and the awe-inspiring beauty of Mount Hood had lifted the heavy burden of her depression, leaving her with a newfound sense of peace and clarity. This story echoes the age-old saying, "A little bird told me," which speaks to the intuitive wisdom that nature often communicates to us through its creatures. Birds, in particular, are seen as symbols of telepathic and intuitive messages, serving as messengers of the soul's spirit. Let's delve into the rich symbolism of birds across various cultures and religions. In the Bible, the Holy Spirit is often depicted as a gentle dove, symbolizing purity, peace, and divine guidance. Similarly, in the imagery of many other religions, birds are portrayed perched atop trees, representing a connection to higher consciousness or spiritual awareness. These symbols of birds serve as a testament to humanity's inherent intuitive understanding of the channels of communication between nature and ourselves. Consider Ron Carey, who serves as a channel for what he refers to as the starseed transmissions and return of the bird tribes. His journey into channeling began with a profound connection to nature. Carey and his family made the bold decision to immerse themselves in the natural world, living harmoniously with the elements for 7 years. Without the distractions of modern technology like television or newspapers, Carey found himself becoming increasingly attuned to the subtle vibrations of nature. As he embraced this deep connection with the natural world, Carey's intuitive abilities flourished. He began to experience waves of profound knowing washing over him, and he allowed these intuitive insights to blossom into words. Through this process, he became a conduit for what he describes as intuitively received transmissions, messages of wisdom and guidance that flowed effortlessly through him. This remarkable journey illustrates the profound connection between intuition and empathy. By cultivating a deep sense of empathy with nature, Carey tapped into a reservoir of higher intelligence, allowing him to serve as a vessel for transformative messages of insight and inspiration. Ron Carey's story echoes some key ideas from Cayce's teachings, particularly the notion of oneness. Edgar Cayce believed that intuition and psychic abilities are rooted in this concept of oneness. Instead of relying on our senses or analysis, intuition operates through a deep sense of harmony, resonance, and communion with the world around us. Edgar Cayce often spoke about attunement, which is essentially becoming attuned or aligned with something else. It's like tuning into the same frequency as another person or thing. When we attune ourselves to something, we connect with it on a deeper level, almost as if we become one with it. This connection is facilitated by a shared affinity of sympathetic vibrations or empathetic understanding. So, intuition, according to Cayce, is not just about knowing facts or information. It's about tapping into this deeper intuitive understanding that arises from our ability to resonate with the world around us. It's like picking up on the subtle signals and vibrations that exist beyond our ordinary senses, allowing us to perceive things in a more profound and intuitive way. Now let's explore the idea that we can deeply connect with the knowledge we seek and truly understand it on a personal level. Imagine you're trying to understand a rose. You could look at it, study its petals and stem, and analyze its structure. This would give you a factual, objective understanding of the rose. But there's another way to understand the rose, intuitively. Instead of just observing it, you can meditate on it. Try to feel what it's like to be a rose. Imagine yourself merging with the essence of the rose, experiencing the world as it does from within. As you do this, you might start to have images or sensations that reflect your connection with the rose. This is intuition at work. Similarly, questions themselves carry a certain energy or vibration, and they contain the seeds of their own answers. When you ask yourself a question, you're tapping into this intuitive realm. You might find that, if you listen closely, the answer presents itself from within you, almost as if it was waiting to be discovered. So, whether it's understanding a flower or seeking answers to life's questions, intuition allows us to connect with knowledge on a deeper level. It's about tuning into the subtle vibrations of the world around us and trusting the insights that arise from within. Let's explore the idea that asking for guidance can lead to receiving answers. Edgar Cayce often talked about the power of asking. He believed that when we learn to ask in a certain way, it opens up a deep connection with our inner selves. And guess what? The answers we've been searching for start popping up from within us, like magic. But how does this work? It's like tuning into a radio station. When you ask the right question, It's like turning the dial to the perfect frequency, and suddenly, the answers start flowing in. Imagine you're trying to solve a problem or make a big decision. Instead of looking outside for answers, Casey suggests looking within. By asking yourself the right questions, you tap into your inner wisdom, and the answers come to you naturally. It's a bit like having a conversation with your best friend, except your best friend is your own inner voice. And when you listen closely, you'll find that it has a lot of insightful things to say. In ancient times, the philosopher Socrates had a unique experience. He heard a voice that he referred to as his demon, which he considered a divine presence. This voice didn't dictate his actions, but often served as a warning, guiding him away from potential mistakes. Socrates learned to heed these warnings, recognizing the value of intuitive guidance. Intuitive insights can manifest in various ways. Sometimes they're feelings or sensations, while other times they can come in the form of voices. Dr. Bartlett shares a story of a woman driving a car who heard a loud voice urging her to stop. Startled, she obeyed and stopped just in time to avoid a collision with another car that ran a red light. Similarly, Pat Rodegast channels a source named Emmanuel and describes her experience as akin to intuition or inner knowing. While in a normal state of consciousness, she turns inward and hears the voice of Emmanuel guiding her. Some people might think that hearing voices is a sign of mental illness, but there's more to it than meets the eye. In fact, hearing voices can sometimes be a powerful way of tapping into our inner wisdom and getting guidance. Imagine this. Instead of dismissing those voices as something to be afraid of, what if we saw them as messengers from within, offering us valuable insights and guidance? Think about it like this. Have you ever had a hunch or a gut feeling that turned out to be right? That's your intuition at work, speaking to you in its own unique way. Now imagine if that intuition came in the form of a voice. It might sound strange at first, but for some people, it's a natural way of receiving guidance from within. Take Edgar Casey, for example. He was known for his ability to tune into a higher wisdom through a trance-like state and hear voices that offered profound insights and guidance. Indeed, some individuals experience psychological conditions where they hear voices, which can be distressing. However, it's important to recognize that not all instances of hearing voices signify a mental disorder. We can categorize these voices into two types, those that bring positivity and those that cause distress. In his book, The Natural Depth in Man, Wilson Van Dusen recounted his experiences counseling individuals in mental hospitals who heard voices. These voices varied. They had different tones and conveyed different messages. Some voices were harshly critical and said hurtful things, while others offered kind words and encouragement. Van Dusen guided individuals to engage with these voices constructively. For the negative voices, he encouraged individuals to assertively respond and tell them to stop. Conversely, he helped them learn to listen to the positive voices, which often provided valuable guidance and support for their recovery journey. As individuals regained mental well-being, the negative voices tended to fade away, while the positive ones remained as helpful companions and guides. This suggests that hearing voices can sometimes be a manifestation of inner turmoil, but it can also serve as a channel for intuitive insights and wisdom. Edgar Casey suggested that individuals who hear voices might be more attuned to the universal consciousness compared to those who merely observe. However, he also acknowledged that when these voices arise due to mental imbalances, they may not be beneficial. Thus, it's crucial to explore the different channels available to us for guidance and insight, while being mindful of potential risks and imbalances. Learning to be active channels for intuitive guidance can be rewarding, but it also comes with its challenges. Edgar Casey offers valuable insights on how to navigate this process effectively. He advises us to anchor our channeling in our ideals and purposes. By aligning our explanations with standards of excellence and ideals, we can channel our receptivity in a focused direction. Similarly, having a purpose that serves a genuine need guides our channeling in a constructive way. Casey compares the subconscious mind to a powerful cross-current that we must navigate as we strive to connect with the superconscious mind. Dealing with the subconscious mind can yield both positive and negative outcomes. Our ideals and purposes act as filters for the messages we receive from the subconscious, allowing us to reach the higher guidance of the superconscious mind. Learning to listen to the still, small voice within is crucial. The Society of Friends, or Quakers, exemplify this practice during their religious gatherings, where they sit in silence, waiting for inspiration. When someone feels moved by the inner voice, they share their message with the group. This practice fosters spiritual communion among them. Casey's method encourages us to engage with intuition actively, learning to recognize its voice through practical application. We can start by using intuition to make decisions. Consider different options, reflect on your values and goals, and then make a tentative decision. Commit to following through on that decision and observe how intuition guides you in the process. Through this experiential approach, we can deepen our understanding of how intuition operates within us. To fully engage your intuitive faculty, it's essential to make a committed effort to contemplate your decision. Edgar Cayce advises against merely pondering hypothetical scenarios, as intuition responds better to practical considerations. After making your decision, Cayce recommends finding a quiet space to attune yourself internally. During this step, focus on connecting with the emotions and values that are most important to you. When you feel aligned with your ideals, ask yourself whether your decision aligns with them. Your intuition will respond internally, often in the form of a yes or no. This intuitive response may manifest as a voice, a feeling, or a thought within you. Pay attention to the immediate response that arises. It's usually the most genuine expression of your intuition. By practicing this process, you can strengthen your ability to access and trust your intuitive guidance. Trusting your intuition can be challenging, especially when it means accepting the very first thought or feeling that arises. This requires a deep level of trust in oneself and an acceptance of spontaneous impulses. Many people struggle with this because it involves trusting their instincts and embracing their natural responses. However, learning to rely on intuition offers significant spiritual benefits. It pushes you to confront and develop your self-trust. By listening to your intuition, you're connecting with a part of yourself that is reliable and trustworthy. This process encourages personal growth and a deeper understanding of oneself. Let's say I have a question that needs an answer. I try to pay attention to what pops into my head first. That's supposed to be my intuition speaking, but here's the tricky part. I often can't even recognize what that first thought is. It's like as soon as something comes up, my brain kicks into gear. I start analyzing it, judging it, and before I know it, I've lost track of that original thought. This happens because my logical, rational mind jumps in so quickly to tweak the intuitive response. To trust my intuition, I need to learn to accept that initial response without immediately dissecting it. I should save the evaluation for later. One clue that I'm tapping into my intuition is that it feels unpredictable. It's like a surprise. It comes out of nowhere and feels unique to me. Recognizing and embracing this unpredictability is key to developing trust in my intuition. Your usual responses are quite predictable. They're habits, things you do automatically. But intuition is different. It's like a whisper from your conscience, but not the usual nagging kind. If you're genuinely surprised by what your conscience says, that's a sign it might be your intuition speaking. This intuitive conscience isn't about criticizing or blaming you. Instead, it understands your true intentions and helps you face yourself. Think of intuition as a guardian angel. It's there to guide and protect us, to inspire us and give our lives deeper meaning. Sometimes it speaks to us in our minds, like a gentle voice nudging us in the right direction. Other times it stirs up feelings or desires within us. And often, it guides us without us even realizing it. According to Cayce, this guardian angel isn't some external being. It's a part of us. It resides in our higher self, that part of our mind that's connected to the universal wisdom. This guardian angel knows that we're all connected to something greater than ourselves, and it never forgets that. Our guardian angel doesn't act on its own will, but follows the will of a higher power, what we might call God. When we experience intuition, it's not our conscious decision-making at play. Instead, it's our guardian angel, a part of our higher self, guiding us without our control, leading us closer to understanding the unity of all things. During our waking hours, we experience this guardian angel through intuition. But when we sleep, according to Casey, we enter a state where we are more in tune with our guardian angel's consciousness. This is when our intuition becomes even more pure, giving rise to dreams, which are like nightly messages from our higher self. I truly believe that by following our intuition, we can tap into different possibilities in time and connect with our inner guidance, including our guardian angel. This audiobook has been particularly fascinating for me because I've always felt that Edgar Cayce tapped into something divine from within himself, and attunement played a significant role in that connection. Attunement, to me, is the key to finding our intuition. Paying attention to our hunches can truly be life-changing. Edgar Cayce's teachings have provided a roadmap for understanding and harnessing intuition in various aspects of life. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on intuition and guardian angels. Have you ever followed your intuition, and how did it impact your life? Sharing your experiences in the comments could be incredibly helpful for others who might be struggling to trust their intuition. Your stories might just inspire and guide them on their own intuitive journey. Thank you for listening.